Hi, this is Ed Downs at Aberco Incorporated, manufacturer of Piemaster machines. This is the 11th video tutorial in a series to explain the operation, maintenance, and safety of the SA21 Piemaster. The last video, we put the top tent on the control panel here. We call the top tent because it kind of looks like a tent. We had to make some adjustments back here to this panel that supports at this end. Wanted to just cover a little bit on that right here in this corner. You can't see it because it's closed up. There can be a gap right there. That's a food trap. Stuff get in there. So the way you do this, you put all the screws in first. There's 5 on each side. Yeah, 5 on each side, and then from the back here, push it forward so you get as tight against here as you can to close that gap up, and then snug the screws down. When I say snug, I mean barely snug. As we talked before, stainless steel screws going into these stainless steel PEM nuts. If you feel any resistance, any binding at all, stop. If they lock up, as I said, you might as well weld them in. So you just want to put them down to where they're barely snug. They're not going to go anywhere. You don't need to over tighten them at all, but just make sure you push this forward, close that seam. Also, you see everybody does this. Take saran wrap or stretch wrap and cover. You can tie it off to the support arm up here, wrap it around, cover the whole front of this so you protect all this. Once this is on, you don't need to mess with it till you're done making pies, and it makes cleanup a lot easier, and it protects the electronics over here and that gap from stuff getting in there. Okay, we're gonna take a look at the computer and the features of it, on the Kindle reader, and take a look at how to operate the machine. Okay, so we're back here. This is the old control panel, the top tent. I think I'll call it legacy instead of old, since all of you are using it. Its design's been around a long time, so I guess it's old, but analog, and it's gone, the computer. So for those of you that are going to upgrade to the computer with the retrofit, you will recognize all the functions. Those of you that don't have a machine yet, this is new to you, so it'll be very informative and pretty simple. The old machine and the new machine has a first fill, a delay, a second fill, the water sprayer, and the roll. On the Kindle, on the computer, hopefully you can see that. Very similar. You see the first fill, water, delay, second fill, delay, and then what we added the hopper dump. So the first fill is just what it says. On this Kindle, it's got a little arrow like your mouse. You can't touch the button with your finger. You have to move the arrow over there. So you just move the arrow and click on what you want. The first fill is just what it says. It deposits filling. You have the timer here that you set. The same way, you get the arrow over there and slide it back and forth, and it'll display. This is very difficult to do while I'm looking at the camera. I'm sorry. It will display the time you have set as you move it along, and that's how long it will dump the filling. If I can get it to focus there. This will be easier when we get over on the machine to do this. The water spray is underneath it. That's an on-off feature. If you turn it on, the water will spray while the fill is filling. If it's off, it won't. So you can turn the water sprayer on. The delay and the second fill, which is also on the legacy machine, that's intended for a couple of things. A lot of filling, sometimes you want to give it a pause for it to slough down. If you're depositing a large amount in a pile, you can put a delay in there for an operator to push it down with a spatula. You also can put a delay in there if you want to, say, throw a piece of cheese on top of the deposited filling, a slice of something. So it serves as a double feature on the new design. In the old machine, it actually took a little bit of time, we're talking, portions of a second from when the filling stopped until the molds would roll. With this computer, the moment the filling stops, the molds roll. So the molds will actually roll before the filling has even hit the dough. So you need to put a little delay in there to give gravity time to get the filling down there. And again, it's it's just portions of a second, tiny portions. But you'll figure that out. We didn't anticipate that. We put the delay in for the same reason it's in the legacy design, but it actually is needed to allow a brief moment for the filling to actually get all the way down to the dough before the molds roll. And then the second fill, as in the old machine, was designed for if you were depositing a lot of filling in a large mold and you didn't want to drop it all in one big blob. So you could drop a little bit and then delay, let it slough down or pat it down, spread it, whatever you want to do, and then have a second deposit. Typically in the large, the 9, 10, 11, all the way up to our 16-ounce calzone molds, you might need to do 2 deposits rather than 1. Then after the second fill, there's another delay for the same reason. If you do a second deposit and you need to push it down with a spatula, spread it, whatever, or throw a piece of cheese on top, you have another delay, and then the molds will roll. The hopper dump is a feature that is not on the old machine, and that is if you're done making pies and you still have filling left in the hopper, you can actuate that, and it will just fill until you stop it. So if you have, you might need to run it for a minute, or something happens where you need to stop, and you could have a full hopper full of filling. You can hit that hopper dump, and it will just continually dump until it's empty, or until you stop it. Sorry, until you physically have to stop the cycle. It'll just keep running. Pretty straightforward. So you've got a fill, a delay, a fill, a delay, and then the hopper dump. So for the molds to roll, that first one, if you see up there, it says auto roll. That is not on the old design, and that is if you want. We used to, on the old machine, the legacy machine. See right there, we called it push push. What that meant was you push the operator buttons once to deposit the filling, and then it waits for you to push the buttons again for the molds to roll. The reason for that is several things, like adding toppings, helping spread filling out, a delay. So instead of having a push-push function like the old machine, we just have auto roll. So if you have auto roll on, that means when the operator pushes the buttons, whatever else you have selected, whether it be first fill, second fill, whatever, once those timers count down, the molds are going to roll. So we'll see on the machine that there's a warning indicator for that to let you know. But that's the basic functions that are on there. And again, in the machine, you could put a USB in if you want to use a mouse. That might be something you could do. You could hang the Kindle reader on the wall, or put it in an environment away from the machine a little bit where the operator can see it, and then operate it with a mouse so you don't have to touch it. There's also down there the counter of how many times the machine is cycled until you, and it has a clear or a reset over there to clear the counter out. So something you might want to consider. The Kindle does not come with any kind of a screen protector or a case. There's so many options out there. We'll leave that up to you. I would suggest putting a case on it at least, so if it's dropped, something shock resistant when it hits the ground. So anyways, we're going to go back over to the machine, and we'll do that in a second in another video, since this one is approaching 10 minutes total time. That's about the limit that I can tolerate downloading to YouTube. So we'll see you in the next video.